Oh, look at that. I don't think I like riding on buses. Actually, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that as a fact. They sway a lot and they smell funny, and you can feel every bump in the road. I'm really not looking forward to this. Plus, Emmy's legs keep making a clanking noise that draws the attention of everyone else on the bus. She's in shorts again, and she's got long socks drawn up on her prosthetics so they don't look so obviously false again. But that doesn't stop the odd look or two every time her legs bump together with an audible clunk. I shift nervously in my seat and Emmy raises an eyebrow questioningly. She doesn't seem to mind the stares either, that or she doesn't even notice that people are staring. I'm sure she's gotten her fill of odd looks before. After a certain amount of time, I doubt she'd notice anymore. Not that she'd ever tell me if I asked. Another fact is I'm not just uncomfortable about the bus. I can't seem to come to terms with the fact that Emmy appears to be trying to bring me closer while at the same time pushing me away. I'm sorry. The nurse said she'd trust me even if it doesn't look like it. But I'm not sure I can trust the nurse. He's protective of Emmy just like I'm protective of Emmy, and I'd be likely to say something to make her look good if someone asked me about her. So he might just be doing that. Still, there was something about the way he seemed genuinely surprised that Emmy invited me along. Maybe last night's talk helped more than I think, but I'm still worried. Meeting the parents is a big deal, right? Not that I haven't already met Emmy's mother, but that was just as an acquaintance. Now it's going to be as Emmy's boyfriend with everything that implies. I can feel my heart pounding in my chest, an echo of that snow-covered afternoon that feels like it was so long ago that it might as well be another life entirely. Except then, I didn't know what was going on. I also didn't have medication to help prevent things spiraling out of control. I've come a long way in terms of my physical health, and for the second time today, I feel like I'll be able to live normally now, or at least as normally as possible. Now, if only I could manage my relationship as well as I've managed my heart, I'd be in great shape. Well, we're here. Emmy grabs my hand as soon as we've stepped off the bus. She starts heading down the streets almost immediately. Come on, we've got a couple of blocks until my place. What? Oh, okay. I follow Emmy down the street, watching her confident stride. She's setting kind of a quick pace for just a walk. I guess she's anxious to get there. So does your mom do this sort of thing often? Nah, not too frequently. Mom's never been much for playing hostess. Oh yeah. Yeah, my dad was always the one pushing her to have people over. This sudden and unprompted reference to her father catches me off guard. And from the look on Emmy's face, I'm not sure she meant to mention him. I think I've only ever heard her talk about him once. All I remember is that Emmy's mom told me that he wasn't around anymore. Oh, your mom prefers solitude? Emmy laughs, either from relief that I didn't ask about her father or from finding my statement actually funny. Not at all. She's why I'm such an outgoing person, you know? She just prefers to be a guest rather than a hostess. It's less stressful that way, or so she says. Clearly, she's never had to meet her girlfriend's mother for dinner. Emmy giggles again and speaks in a teasing tone. Nervous, Hisayo? You shouldn't be, you know? It's not that big a deal. Just dinner at my house, that's all. Yeah, but have you ever brought home a boyfriend before? I confess that part of me dreads hearing the answer to this. I know very little of Emmy's past relationships. I don't even know if there were past relationships. No, I guess I haven't. Hey, maybe this really is kind of a big deal after all. Oh good, now I feel twice as nervous. Though to tell the truth, I'm pretty happy to hear that I'm the first one. Haha, that's what I was thinking. Maybe we've got something special after all. Bolstered by this new thought, I've managed to calm down considerably by the time Emmy knocks on her front door. Hey Mom, open up, we're here. And there she is. The door swings open and Mrs. Ibarazaki stands, grinning at her daughter. The grin is still surprisingly similar to Emmy's. I'm never going to get used to that. You know, people normally wait for a few minutes before they start shouting at the door. And most mothers say hello to their daughters instead of scolding them right away. Ah, of course, welcome home, dear, I've missed you. An affectionate hug later, we're inside, and it's only then that Emmy's mom seems to remember that I'm actually here. And hello to you too, Hisaya. How are you? I'm quite well, thank you. Nice to not have school to worry about for a little bit. Ah, yes, you've finished up your exams, haven't you? That must be quite a relief for you both. It's certainly a weight off of my mind, that's for sure. Mine too, I think I slept well for the first time in weeks, last night from relief alone. If this news is a surprise to Emmy's mother, she doesn't know it. She doesn't show it, I'm sorry. Still, her response betrays a note of interest. Is that so? I'm very glad to hear that, Emmy. You know, I get worried when you get all wound up about, well, exams. Certainly Emmy's mother knows something I don't, or rather she doesn't know that Emmy's told me about the nightmares. It's interesting being able to observe how Mrs. Ibarazaki covers for Emmy. That protective instinct to make sure that I don't know any more than Emmy's willing to tell me. I suppose Emmy's got more in common with quirks than I ever realized. Moves around fast, impossible to understand through direct observation, yet she has an effect on everyone she encounters. I wonder if Mrs. Ibarazaki will figure out that I know about the nightmares, or is she just keeping everything secret from everybody? Yeah, it's not been as bad this year as in the past. Hisayo helped me to stay focused. Okay, I know that's not true. She even cut off contact outside of school hours during the exam week. But she did see me during the day, and she told me more than once that the morning run was the only thing she looked forward to during exams, so maybe it's not that much of a lie. Either way, to hear that being around has helped even a little makes me feel a bit better. Emmy's mother raises an eyebrow at this statement. Either she doesn't believe Emmy or she's as surprised as I am. Well, then it appears that it's a good thing you two have become so close. I tell you to take good care of my daughter, Hisayo, but it looks like you're already doing that. Emmy grins at this and seems to take pride in my having managed to integrate myself with her mother so easily. Actually, I'd say your daughter's been the one taking care of me. She's gotten me out and running. I've probably been more active since meeting her than I ever was even before. I'd actually never thought of it that much, nor had I ever appreciated the humor in it. I wasn't too active before the heart attack. Pickup games of soccer don't really count since they weren't that common. So now that I know for sure that I have a weak heart, now I run every day, pushing my luck with the help of my medication. I chuckle quietly, then realize that I never finished my sentence. Well, before I had my heart attack and wound up at school here, it comes out so casually there was a time that I would have thought twice about talking about what was wrong with me at all. But now it just seems silly to care, especially in the company of Emmy and her mother. If Emmy can be cavalier about her disability, then so can I. I think back to the track meet where Emmy declared herself the fastest thing on no legs. The fact of her obvious loss has never seemed to bother her, at least not in public. Being stuck in the wheelchair frustrated her, I know, but even that was something she dealt with on her own, despite my efforts to the contrary. Emmy has a way of bringing out the more active side in people. I've never quite figured out how she does it. Those puppy dog eyes she gets, for starters. I'm not surprised that she managed to rope you into an exercise routine. If Rin weren't just as stubborn as she is, I'm sure that Emmy would have gotten her out and running with you. Too. Oh, that reminds me. Rin says hello. I drift to the outer edges of the conversation again as we move into the dining room to eat. It smells delicious in here, and the spread that Emmy's mom has produced is impressive. Whoa, you've made enough to feed an army in here. Is it too much? Well, you can always take some leftovers with you when you go. That sounds great. I can only handle cafeteria food for so long. Something home-cooked would be a welcome change of pace. What he said. Thanks, Mom. The food tastes as good as it smells, and there's a lull in the conversation while we all dig in. Emmy assaults her plate with the usual amount of gusto, and I will admit that I set a pretty fast pace myself. So, Asayo, I hear that you and my daughter here have gotten rather close, Oh god, she knows. The urge to say something like not really is strong, so that I open my mouth to say it, but then reassert control. We are close, there is no getting around it. I mean, Emmy's brought me here, hasn't she? Fortunately, both Emmy and her mother seem to take my reaction as a sign that I'm caught off guard rather than considering saying something cruel. Heh, I suppose we have. I blame the morning runs myself. You make it sound like a bad thing, Asai. Oh my god. Well, I for one found it a relief. Why is that? Emmy's always been a popular girl, but never made many close friends. This is a bit of news to me. I've always seen Emmy chatting with her classmates in the hallways. And certainly the whole track team seems to love her, but it is true that she chooses to isolate herself during lunch with Rin and me. Not exactly the sort of behavior one expects from a popular girl, after all. Then again, I've experienced her unwillingness to get close firsthand, so I can't say I'm that surprised. I was beginning to have my doubts. Emmy rolls her eyes to the ceiling and grumbles something I can't quite make out. Huh? What? What's that you just said? Nothing? Mrs. Ibarazaki chokes on her drink with laughter. You've been hanging out with the nurse too long, Emmy. I'm going to have to talk to him about corrupting my daughter. Somehow I don't think that would be very effective. I learned most of it from you anyway, not the nurse. Oh, don't listen to her, Asayo. She's a born liar. Oh my god. Yeah, right. Oh, I don't know, Emmy. I think your mother has a point. What? You traitor. You're supposed to take my side in this. Yeah, but you did lie about your leg after the meet. Ow. Oh my god. I'm sorry about that. A kick in the shins from an unmistakable plastic foot cuts me off, but not before Mrs. Ibarazaki eyebrows shoot upwards. What about your leg? It wasn't a big deal, that's all. I just was, in a wheelchair for a bit. The last few mumbled words are quickly deciphered by Emmy's mother. I suspect she has experience with this sort of thing, and a worried frown appears on her face. So that's why he kept dodging my calls. Oh, Emmy, I know how much you hate being in a wheelchair. No wonder you've been in such a mood lately. Yeah, she's much happier on her feet, so to speak. Well, of course, she spent enough time in a chair just after the accident. She didn't get prosthetics immediately. No, she had to finish healing up before they'd let her start the sort of therapy you've got to go through to adjust to those things. Especially since she wanted to run on them. I had no idea. Yeah, it sucked. Oh, did you see Rin's mural at the festival? Emmy's sudden change of topic makes me realize belatedly that she's been fidgeting the whole time her mother and I have been talking. I should have figured on her being a little skittish when it comes to talking about the accident, even around her mother. No, I didn't make it out to the festival, remember? Although I caught a glimpse of it at your track meet, it seemed pretty weird to me. I think that's more or less what she was going for. She talked a lot about it being dreamlike, or trying to make it dreamlike. Rin's art is one of those things I don't think I'll ever understand. That's not surprising. I don't think Rin expects to be understood. She told me once that art allows people to understand stuff they wouldn't understand otherwise, but all the same, she doesn't think it actually works that way. I'm surprised that Emmy's talked about this with Rin extensively enough to actually have Rin's opinion such as it is. Although I expect that Rin could not if she were so inclined to say the same thing about Emmy's. Unless, of course, Emmy is purposely keeping me in the dark about everything, which is likely but unpleasant to think about. I drift down this unpleasant train of thought for a while, losing track of the conversation. Hey, Emmy, I've been meaning to ask. Huh? Are you going to visit your father this year? What? From the way she says it, you'd think Emmy's mother was talking about the weather from the way Emmy reacts. It's clearly not the weather they're talking about. Oh, does she mean, like, her stepfather or something? I don't know. Or maybe his grave or something, I don't know. She flinches a slight jerk of the head backwards as if she's just been slapped in the face. Can we talk about this later? Her voice sounds a brittle, strained. Sounds brittle, strained. I was hesitant at first because I thought it said brittle and strained, but no, it's just brittle, strained. It looks as if she's been severely shaken by the question. It seems that Mrs. Ibarazaki misjudged just how close Emmy and I are. Some things it seems are best not conversed about with me around. Her father is one of these things. The accident that took her legs, is probably another one of those things. If a reaction to the earlier conversation between her mother and myself is any indication, it doesn't take Emmy's mother long to realize she's screwed up. Of course we can, dear. I'm sorry to bring it up. I just wanted to ask so I could make plans. It's fine, don't worry about it. Emmy fidgets nervously as if embarrassed by her own reaction. I confess that her reaction is confusing. She only just mentioned her father to me earlier today, less than a few hours ago even. Why does the simple question about when she'll visit her father cause such a strong reaction? Unless whatever serenity she claimed to have reached by means of our talk the previous evening has suddenly evaporated. Or it didn't help as much as she thought or claimed. I'll be right back. Gotta visit the little girl's room. Emmy gets up suddenly and leaves the table, leaving me and Mrs. Ibarazaki alone. I'm a little conflicted. Should I go after her or should I stay here? It's obvious that Emmy's departure was not based on the call of nature. Something's bothering her and I have to know what it is. How to go about it. Oh. This is interesting. I mean, then again, I could save right here. You know what? Yeah, let's save right here. I've always saved even when I'm close to finishing something, so yeah. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, so considering the nurse said that she's like really, really stubborn, and I mentioned Mutao about like trying to go observe in the other way, let's talk to her mom about this. There's an awkward silence at the table for a while after Emmy dashes off. I can't think of anything to say. Emmy's mother sighs, breaking the silence. Sorry about that, Hisayo. I sometimes forget that Emmy's touchy about certain subjects. And I was talking about the wheelchair thing too. Should I go after her? Heavens no, she didn't leave the table to continue the conversation, you know? But if she's troubled, shouldn't someone help her? If it were anyone else, I'd say yes, but my daughter is stubborn as a mule, and if she wants to be alone, it's best to let her be alone. Otherwise, she'll probably say something she'd regret, which would cause you to say something you'd regret, and I would prefer that dinner doesn't end with one or the both of you storming out of the house. If that were to happen, I'd be a terrible hostess, wouldn't I? I've already acted as a fool once today. That's okay, I shouldn't have brought up the wheelchair, apparently. Mrs. Ibarazaki frowns, clearly more bothered by Emi's omission than she'd let on. I wish she wouldn't do that, it just makes me worry more, you know? She does this often? What? Running off to the bathroom? No, I can't say she does. Keep injuries from her mother, though? Well, that's a little more common. Every time I catch her lying like that, she assures me that the only reason she didn't tell me is because it wasn't a big deal. If it's any consolation, I'm sure the only reason I knew about it at all was because I saw her every day. This elicits a dry chuckle from across the table. Mrs. Ibarazaki sighs a little sadly. Still hesitant about getting close to people, huh? I keep hoping that she'll get over that. It's funny, really. She's bounced back so well from the accidents in so many ways. I guess some things never really go away. From the looks of it, the whole thing still bothers her too. She seems to be a little more willing to talk about the accident without Emmy around, though. Hey, I've got a question if it's alright. Oh? What else did Emmy lose in that accident? The nurse said that she gets this way near the anniversary and she won't talk about it to me. I'm guessing her father died in that accident with her. Not died, literally died with her as in she died as well, but like both, in both of them experienced the accident, him dying and her losing her legs, So, yeah, that kind of thing. And she would talk about it to me. So you thought I'd fill you in, Or yeah, hopefully. Well, there's a problem with that request, Let me guess, you promised Emmy that you wouldn't tell anyone she didn't want to know, and you don't know if she wants me to know. Something like that. I promised Emmy that she'd be the one to tell people the full story. But isn't that important? I mean, it's clearly had a huge effect on her if she's still like this so long after the accident happened. That's true, it did have a long-lasting effect on her. There are a few things that she'll probably never really get over. For a moment, Mrs. Ibarazaki looks incredibly saddened, as if an old wound is bothering her. I suppose there are a few things I'll never really get over either. Another dry chuckle, and with a shake of her head, Emmy's mother banishes the memory. Look, there's something you absolutely must understand about the way Emmy thinks about the accident. What's that? It wasn't a big deal. Somehow I managed to keep my mouth from falling open in surprise, but it takes some effort. That has to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I beg your pardon? Okay, maybe it's not that simple, but it's a pretty accurate summation. Emmy believes that the accident did not define her, and that everything she lost that day didn't define her either. She's not that girl who lost her legs. She's the fastest thing on no legs. Her optimism and energy came out of that wreck without a scratch as far as she's concerned. Yet it goes beyond that, doesn't it? I mean, last night she told me that she refused to rely on me because it would make losing me too painful. Not really. You said she won't tell you about the accident, even though you've asked her about it before. The reason she won't talk about it when you asked is because to her it's not something you absolutely need to know. Even if she wasn't terrified of getting too close to anyone, she still wouldn't talk about it. She's afraid of being close to me? Oh goodness me, yes, for all that talk about being unscathed by the accident, she's gained the ugly knowledge of how quickly it can all be over. So she's not going to let people get especially close to her, and she certainly would resent any implication that she cannot work through this on her own. But I don't think she can. Oh no, are you sure you've been dating my daughter and not somebody else? Trust me, Asaya, she could get through it on her own. but she has nightmares and can't sleep well, and she does this every year. Tell me, if she wasn't able to get through it on her own, do you really think she'd still be alive? She would have killed herself or something equally melodramatic. So what, I shouldn't try to help her? I didn't say that. I hate seeing my daughter like this and knowing that she could rely on someone else would let me relax. You just need to understand that accepting help goes against everything Emmy thinks about herself and the way the world works. If you still want to offer her help, then I guess that's your call. Honestly, I'd like you to, but it'd be silly not to warn you that it's not going to be easy. You just need to be patient with her. She's already closer to you than anyone else she's ever met at Yamaku. Well, it sure doesn't feel like we were very close. Good, that makes this part easier. What? Emmy's voice nearly gives me a heart attack. Whoa, didn't hear you come back, Emmy. I don't mean like whoa, like on. I mean like whoa, like as a surprise. I'm sorry if I pronounced it that way. It's just my voice is, starting to get a little tired, so I apologize. How convenient. Wait, were you eavesdropping? Nope, just happened to come back at the right moment, I guess. Emmy holds up a finger, cutting her mother off. On his way out of the house. Yeah, I know. Oh my god, look at her. Emmy's trembling with anger now, looking vaguely betrayed. Oh shit, she heard everything? Fuck. Vaguely betrayed. Emmy, don't be ridiculous. You promised. The pain carried in that last word is almost too much for me to bear. The idea that I could hurt her that much is like being kicked in the gut. Emmy's mother looked similarly pained by the thought. And I kept that promise. Just listen, there's no reason to go throwing people out of the house. Emmy's mother seems to be both angry at her daughter's outburst and embarrassed that I'm a witness to it. There's only one real solution to this problem, I think. It's okay, I'll go. Now really, that seems a little unnecessary. Don't worry about it. Thank you for dinner, Mrs. Ibarazaki, and for the advice. It was my pleasure, Hisayo. I'm sorry we didn't get to the dessert. That's okay, I have to watch what I eat anyway. Good evening, Emmy, Mrs. Ibarazaki. The formality of our conversation, coupled with the fact that I'm getting ready to leave, seems to snap Emmy out of her anger. No, wait, I'm sorry, and after last night, I just thought you don't have to go out. I take it back, it's okay. I can't help but smile slightly. She can barely articulate her apology, and I really would like to stay. But I don't think I can right now. I need to think about what her mother said and about what I'm going to do about us. I don't want to risk accidentally getting Emmy angry again in her current state either. No, I think I'd better leave. You seem pretty shook up, and, well, I'd only wind up trying to help you again. I know you'd prefer I didn't, so I'm going to leave instead. But, hey, it's not a problem. You don't want a knight on a white charger, right? Just promise me one thing, okay? What? Don't be angry at your mom, okay? She was just giving me some advice, that's all. Emmy nods hesitantly, like this simple idea is all that she can grab onto at this point. She's so terribly off balance, but I can't do anything about that right now. Okay. See you tomorrow, okay? Running in the morning, don't forget. I can see that I've hurt Emmy by deciding to leave, but there's nothing I could do for her as things stand, and I know that she's too stubborn to admit that she wants me to stick around. I watch various emotions cross Emmy's face as she tries to process everything that's just happened. Shortly comes that calm look again, like last night, and that voice that tries so hard to sound careless. Sure, Hisayo, see you around. Both of us are unwilling to concede emotion at this point, and I'm having a hard time keeping up my facade, so I turn on my heel and walk out the door. I shut it behind me slowly, pausing for a moment as the latch catches my hand on the doorknob. Did I make the right decision just now? Should I have stayed and tried to work things out? No, I decide not in front of her not in front of her mother like that. I'm sorry if I wasn't reading properly. In spite of everything, I'd rather keep Emmy's mother insulated from the sort of anger that surfaced last night. Even though she's probably used to it, some protective instinct wants me to keep Emmy's image as a cheerful girl intact. With a start, I realize my hand is still resting on the doorknob. I take my hand away, put it in my pocket, and head down the slowly darkening street. I let out a long breath. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right here because it's already been an hour and I see things that are already very intense, so we'll pick it off later. So now we're gonna save and we'll see how things go. Guess who's coming? Never mind, I like that title. Progress successfully saved. It was the one before that. And, oh yeah, and it's still the same one. Okay. Alright, so now we'll just go to the main menu. Yes. So yeah, things are really picking up and it's getting rather intense, I have to admit. So yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna leave off is that, as you know, I've tested the OBS Studios from recording on the computer monitor and stuff, and it worked out like very well, like just as it used to be, like recording, even throughout an hour and stuff. I've tested that out. But thing I just want to say is that I haven't tested it out recording the game itself, so I don't know if these issues are still present with this game recording. But bear in mind, I tested it out again without recording from the game, like after this whole incident happened, and it was the exact same thing that happened. And when I when I restarted the computer, it started working normally again. So hopefully it's probably working again. And if not, then I'm probably gonna have to fix it. Probably maybe reinstall the program or something. But I'm pretty sure it's working, hopefully. But I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.